The restaurant glowed with a soft amber light, the kind meant to make everything look warmer than it felt. But there was no warmth in Emily's eyes tonight. She glanced at me, sharp, cold, cutting. "Please," she whispered, voice barely audible but laced with irritation. "Don't sit so close. You're embarrassing me." It wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. The words landed like a slap. I froze halfway through a practiced smile, one I'd been hoping might remind her of how we used to be. Instead, I slid my chair back, the legs screeching across the floor and drawing a few curious stares from nearby tables. She ignored me, eyes fixed on her phone, pretending I didn't exist. An awkward space opened between us. Not just on the booth, but in everything we had become. I tried to swallow the humiliation, laugh it off maybe, but the ache in my chest only deepened. Ever since Emily's promotion, something had shifted. She'd once spoken about me with pride, introducing me as her rock, her best friend. Now she looked at me like I was an inconvenience she had to drag behind her. I stared at the flickering candle between us, wondering when exactly she stopped loving me. Or worse, when she started pretending she still did. Minutes ticked by. She kept scrolling, smiling faintly at messages she wouldn't show me. My heartbeat drummed in my ears. Was I jealous? Or just lonely? Then, a soft voice broke through. "Excuse me," said a woman standing beside our table, a kind smile on her lips. "Is this seat taken?" I shook my head. "No, go ahead." She slid into the booth beside me. The scent of jasmine followed her. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and nodded toward Emily. "Date night." "Something like that," I muttered. Emily finally looked up, annoyance flashing in her eyes at the sight of the stranger. She opened her mouth, probably to snap, but before she could, the woman leaned toward me. Your collar," she said softly. "You've got lipstick on it." My stomach twisted. Emily's eyes dropped to my shirt. Confusion, then panic, then anger flickered across her face. "I don't wear pink lipstick," she said flatly. I looked down. She was right. The smudge was a pale rose color. Emily's lipstick tonight was bright red. I'd watched her apply it in the car, carefully, almost nervously. She looked away too fast. Maybe the waiter brushed past him. The woman frowned. "You just sat down. No waiter's been here." Emily shot her a glare that could shatter glass. The woman looked apologetic. "Sorry, I didn't mean to." "You didn't," I interrupted softly. But Emily's silence said otherwise. Dinner was ordered, but neither of us touched a bite. My mind reeled, flashes of her late nights, her secretive smiles at her phone, the way she flinched when I reached for her hand. The stranger offered a kind smile. "I'm Nina," she said. "Hope I'm not intruding." Emily forced a grin that looked painful. "Well, we were hoping for some alone time." She lingered on the word alone. Nina looked at me instead. "You look like you could use a friend." Her kindness nearly broke me. I nodded, too afraid to speak. Then Emily's phone buzzed. She grabbed it instantly, turning her body slightly away as her thumbs moved across the screen. I leaned just far enough to see the message, a heart emoji beside the name H. "Work?" I asked quietly. Her fingers tightened around the phone. "Yes." "Someone from the office?" "Someone you send hearts to?" She didn't answer. She just stood up, grabbing her purse. "I need air." The door swung shut behind her. Through the window, I watched her step onto the sidewalk. A sleek black car rolled up. The window lowered. A man smiled at her. That smile, the one I hadn't seen in years. She smiled back and got in. Everything went still. Nina's voice came softly beside me. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be part of this." "It's not your fault," I said, barely managing the words. I sat there, numb, remembering the life we built, the laughter, the quiet mornings, the promises whispered before sleep. When had I stopped being enough for her? Nina hesitated, then asked gently, "Do you want to talk?" "I don't even know what I want anymore." The restaurant felt suffocating, too bright, too loud, too full of people who didn't know they were watching a man's world fall apart. I stood shakily. I can't stay here. She nodded. Let me walk you out. Outside, the night air hit like a cold slap. The city carried on as if nothing had happened. Emily's phone, forgotten on the table, buzzed again and again. I looked down at the screen lighting up. H. Had a great time earlier. Miss you already. H. Wish you were still in my arms. Each message drove another nail into my chest. Nina took the phone gently and handed it to me. You deserve honesty, she said quietly. When Emily returned minutes later, the car was gone. She stopped dead when she saw me standing there, her phone in my hand. Her face drained of color. She opened her mouth, searching for words, but there were none that could save her. I would have forgiven so much, I said, voice barely above a whisper, if you had just been honest with me. Her eyes filled with tears. Wait, please. It's not what it looks like. But it was. And we both knew it. I handed her the phone. Her fingers shook as she took it. I hope he makes you feel proud, I said quietly, because I haven't in a long time. Then I turned and walked away, not running, not angry, just done. Step by step, each one heavier than the last, until the night swallowed the sound of her crying my name. And for the first time in years, I didn't turn back.